You're the art director. You handed over the brief, curated the perfect mood boards, and gave feedback on every single pixel. But the output is still fine. It's not a disaster, but it's definitely not a win. And you start second guessing yourself. Maybe I didn't explain it well enough, maybe my direction wasn't clear, maybe I am the one who missed something. In this video, I'll share a real production mess up and the situations where there's no point in trying to grow your team. Then I'm going to drop one obvious truth that most people ignore. Then a short practical breakdown. And at the end, I'll talk about a fear most art directors don't like to admit. I'm Daniel, here I break down what actually happens in real projects and share my take on how to stay intentional in this industry. Let's start with the story. I was brought in as a guest art director, but the agency had already booked the external team before I even arrived. I just showed up and the players were already on the field. By the way, drop a like if you've been thrown into a project like that. So we started working, and soon it became clear that while team was great at static design, their motion design skills were mediocre, and it only surfaced once we hit the animation stage of the pipeline. I tried to course correct with direction and recommendations, but the process was painfully slow and the result was far from perfect. I was stressed. And you know this romanticized idea that if you are a god-tier art director, you can carry any project just through your vision and feedback. It's a beautiful thought, but in reality it's total crap. Now, when mentoring doesn't work, we need to distinguish between two very different contexts: the marathon and the sprint. When you have an in-house team, you're playing the long game. You can build pipelines, upskill your people, and invest in growth. You invest today to see the ROI 6 months from now. That's a marathon. But in agency work, with freelancers or external production, you are in a sprint. The deadline is in 3 weeks or sometimes 1 week, and you don't have time to mentor anyone. This is where the trap kicks in. You start giving more feedback, more style guides, more control, and you think if I just explain it perfectly, they will get it. The first iteration arrived and I think, oh, it's just a rough draft, so I brushed it off. The second came in and it still wasn't there. By the third, I realized the quality simply wasn't improving. I had to pivot into full micromanagement mode, giving precise surgical feedback on every tiny detail. But even then, the results remain miles away from the vision. If you choose the path of micromanagement, you'll just burn out and end up with a demotivated team that stops thinking and just waits for you to tell them where to put the next pixel. Here's the obvious fact I've learned the hard way. The final output will never significantly exceed the baseline quality of the specialist or team you hired. You can give infinite feedback, you can build the perfect style guide, you can send 1,000 references, but you cannot feedback years of animation experience, a sense of typography, or innate understanding of composition into someone else's brain. If you are jumping into the source files and pushing pixels around because it's just easier than explaining it, congratulations, you are no longer the art director. You are just an expensive production artist who failed the recruitment stage. So, what's the move? Let's hop in a time machine and go back a few steps. The core skill for an art director in this format isn't feedback or visual literacy. It's the ability to look at a pair of hands during the hiring stage and know, can they carry this idea? It's about finding people who already excel in the required style, rather than trying to level them up mid-project. Now, the practical takeaways. Don't just look for a flashy portfolio, look for the ability to solve your specific problem. You might think, I need animation, I'll hire a motion designer, obvious, right? Sure, but the devil is in the details. You have to look closely. Sometimes a portfolio has incredible projects, but when you dig deeper, it turns out that person didn't do the part you actually need. Or they only did a fraction of it. Or they did it with a massive amount of oversight. If you're hiring a studio, it's even trickier, because the person who actually made that hero project might not even work there anymore. A great tactic is to ask about their portfolio pieces. How did you build that? What were the challenges? What went wrong? Then ask how they'd solve your current problem. Their answers will tell you everything you need to know. So put your effort into the hiring phase. It's like setting sail, because once you're in the middle of the ocean, it's too late to teach someone how to handle the ropes. Now, let's talk about every art director hidden fear. It's the moment you realize your designer is simply better than you. And I've been there. You look at their work and realize they see solutions you never would have imagined. And in that moment, your ego becomes your worst enemy. And this is a reality check. The first instinct is to assert yourself, give notes just to justify your title. Demand changes because you feel like if you aren't correcting things, you aren't doing your job. And this kills projects. It destroys relationships. And it makes you look like insecure amateur. The only move here is to shut your ego down. High-level professionals don't need micromanaging. They need context and boundaries. Your job shifts. You become a buffer. You extract the requirements from the client and translate them so team doesn't have to guess. You filter out the chaotic client feedback, structure it, and shield the production. In this scenario, art director isn't the one drawing. They are the one creating the environment where brilliant people can work in peace. Okay, here is the secret. To deliver top-tier projects, you need top-tier specialists. We are afraid to hire people stronger than us because we think it makes us redundant. But being dumbest person in the room isn't a defeat, it's an opportunity. When you work with people who are better than you gain priceless experience. Working with the best is your biggest level up. And of course, there's more to the role. Acting as a client translator, a salesperson, or a team therapist during a crisis, but those are topics for another day. If you've been through something similar, drop a comment. I'd love to hear how you handled it. And if it was helpful, a like and a sub really help the channel grow. See you in the next one.
Aha!